Dina stood in the doorway, rain blowing against her face as Lucas yelled at her. His voice echoed through the big, fancy house, sharp and cruel. "Get out. I'm done with you. Go back to your poor life," he shouted, pointing toward the driveway as if she were nothing more than a problem he wanted to throw away. Dina held her small suitcase close to her chest. She had packed it quickly, her hands shaking as Lucas screamed at her. But now, standing outside with rain soaking her clothes, she felt strangely calm. Her heart hurt, yes, hurt more than she could explain, but a quiet voice inside whispered that maybe this moment, as humiliating as it was, would change everything. Lucas stood blocking the door, still furious, still spitting out words meant to break her. "This house was never for someone like you," he sneered. "I was stupid to think it could work." Dina didn't answer. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She simply took a small breath, lifted her suitcase, and stepped fully into the cold night rain. What she didn't know, what Lucas didn't know, was that they were not alone. From the dim hallway behind Lucas, his mother, Evelyn, stood frozen in shock. She hadn't planned to listen, but the yelling drew her close. Now she watched her son speak to Dina with a cruelty she had never thought possible. Evelyn covered her mouth with her hand, horrified, ashamed, and heartbroken. Dina had never seen her. She had no idea Evelyn had witnessed everything. Lucas didn't see her either. He was too wrapped up in his anger to notice the quiet figure watching him. Dina walked slowly down the long stone steps, her shoes slipping slightly on the wet ground. The rain fell harder, soaking her hair, her clothes, her suitcase. But she kept walking, step by step, refusing to look back. She didn't want Lucas to see her cry. She didn't want him to feel like he had won. Behind her, Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to run after Dina, to apologize, to tell her she didn't deserve this. But she stood still, shocked by the son she had raised and the gentle girl he had just thrown away. As Dina reached the gate, she finally let one tear fall, but only one. She whispered to herself, "I will survive this." And she walked into the night, not knowing her life was about to change forever. Dina grew up in a small, simple home where money was always tight. She learned early how to work hard, how to save every coin, and how to stay grateful even when life was difficult. By the time she was an adult, she was juggling 2 jobs, one at a cafe in the mornings and another cleaning offices at night. She barely had time for herself, but she kept going because she wanted a better future. She met Lucas during a volunteer program where they were both helping at a community shelter. Dina was serving food, smiling warmly at everyone who came in. Lucas was there with his company team, taking photos for a charity event. He noticed Dina right away. She was calm, kind, and worked with real effort. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't doing it for attention. Lucas liked that about her. In the beginning, Lucas was different, soft-spoken, respectful, even shy. He would wait after the program to walk Dina to the bus stop. They talked about dreams, goals, and simple things that made life beautiful. Dina felt seen for the first time in a long time, and Lucas felt understood in a way he never had before. Their relationship grew slowly and naturally. But everything began to change once Lucas started climbing the corporate ladder. As he earned more money, got promoted, and entered high society circles, his attitude shifted. He became more focused on status, more concerned about what others thought, and more proud in a way that felt cold. The class divide between them slowly widened. Dina still took buses and worked long shifts, while Lucas attended fancy events with wealthy people who looked at her like she didn't belong. Dina tried to ignore it at first. She tried to love him the way she always had. But she grew tired, emotionally tired. His small comments about her background, his constant need to impress others, and the pressure of fitting into his world drained her. She felt like she was shrinking, losing pieces of herself. Meanwhile, Lucas's mother, Evelyn, watched all of this quietly. She had a difficult relationship with her son. His ambition often made him hard and impatient, even with her. But she admired Dina deeply. Evelyn saw her kindness, her strength, and her sincerity. She often thought Dina was the best thing that had happened to Lucas. Dina didn't know it yet, but Evelyn's silent respect for her would matter more than she could ever imagine. Dina discovered the truth by accident. One evening, Lucas left his phone on the table while he stepped out to take a call. A message notification popped up from a woman Dina had never heard of. The words were simple but painful. Dinner was amazing last night. Can't wait to see you again. Her heart sank. She opened the chat, and what she saw broke her completely. Photos, long messages, and plans between Lucas and a woman from a wealthy, well-known family. They had been seeing each other for months. When Lucas came back inside, Dina was standing there holding the phone. Her voice shook as she asked, "Who is she?" Lucas didn't even look ashamed. He just sighed annoyed and said, "Someone who understands my world. Someone who fits." Those words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. Their argument grew louder and sharper. Dina tried to stay calm, but Lucas's arrogance pushed her past her breaking point. He said hurtful things about her background, her income, her life. He accused her of holding him back. She finally yelled back, asking how he could do this after everything they had been through. The fight exploded into the moment that became the opening scene. Lucas shouting, pointing at the door, telling her to get out of his house. And Dina, numb and shaking, grabbing her small suitcase and stepping out into the rain. After leaving that big, cold house behind, Dina walked slowly to the bus stop and took the long ride back to her tiny apartment. Her clothes were soaked and her heart felt heavy, but her mind was strangely clear. The silence of her little room felt painful but honest. At least here, nothing pretended to be perfect. That same night, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Evelyn, Lucas's mother. "Dina, I'm so sorry for everything. Please let me talk to you." Dina read it but didn't reply. She couldn't. She didn't want pity or apologies from anyone connected to Lucas. She blocked the number and turned off her phone. She wanted peace, not reminders. A week later, the internet exploded with news. Lucas had proposed to the wealthy woman. Photos spread everywhere. Him kneeling with a ring, her smiling in a designer dress, reporters calling them a perfect power couple. Dina saw the news when a co-worker showed her the article. Her stomach tightened, but she forced a small smile and said, "Good for them," pretending it didn't hurt. But deep inside, she felt the final door close. Lucas had moved on publicly, proudly, carelessly. And Dina realized she had no choice but to start moving on too, even if she had to do it alone. Lucas's new relationship started falling apart much faster than anyone expected. At first, everything looked perfect on social media. Fancy dinners, expensive trips, and smiling photos. But behind the scenes, things were different. His new fiancée didn't like his temper. She didn't like his long work hours. She didn't like how stressed he always seemed. And most of all, she didn't like being part of a scandal when rumors about Lucas's behavior at work started spreading. Soon Lucas's company was hit with a serious problem. A business deal he had worked on was being investigated for dishonesty. News reporters began asking questions. The company's name started trending for the wrong reasons. His wealthy partner's family became nervous. They told their daughter to step away from the drama. Slowly, they stopped inviting Lucas to events, stopped answering his calls, and stopped supporting him. Meanwhile, Evelyn watched her son fall apart. She saw the anger, the stress, and the fear behind his silence. She tried talking to him, but he pushed her away. He insisted everything was fine even when it was clearly getting worse. Evelyn would sit alone in her room, crying quietly, afraid of where her son's life was headed. While Lucas's world was breaking, Dina's life was slowly getting brighter. She found a new job at a small but friendly office where people treated her kindly. Her manager liked her work and trusted her with important tasks. She started making new friends who made her laugh again. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she could breathe. Her confidence returned little by little. She began dressing nicely for herself, eating healthier meals, and even taking short evening walks to clear her mind. Dina was rebuilding step by step, without needing anyone to save her. But strange rumors began to reach her. At her workplace, someone mentioned seeing Evelyn at the hospital many times, crying in the waiting area. Another person said Lucas looked thinner, stressed, and nothing like the proud man he used to be. Dina listened quietly but didn't ask questions. One afternoon, as she was leaving work, she overheard two people talking in the hallway. "I heard Lucas's business might collapse," one whispered. "The scandal is worse than they're saying." Dina felt a small shock run through her body. Even after everything he had done, part of her still felt something. A mix of worry, sadness, and old memories she thought she had buried. She walked home slowly that evening, wondering why the universe kept sending these whispers to her. She tried to push the thoughts away, but something inside her told her that this was not the end of the story. Not yet. Evelyn appeared at Dina's workplace one afternoon, looking shaky and worn out. Her eyes were red, her hands were trembling, and she seemed too weak to even stand properly. Dina was shocked to see her like this. She guided Evelyn to a chair and asked softly, "What happened?" Evelyn took a deep breath, but her voice still cracked as she spoke. "It's Lucas, he's very sick." She paused as tears ran down her cheeks. "And he's broke, Dina. Everything is gone." Dina froze. She didn't know what to say. Evelyn continued, wiping her face with shaking hands. "The woman he left you for, she's gone too. She left the moment the money disappeared. She didn't stay for even a day." Her voice filled with pain but also shame. Lucas thought he had everything. Now he has nothing. Dina felt her stomach twist. She remembered his harsh words. The night he threw her into the rain. The way he treated her like she didn't belong. But she also remembered the early days. The kind man she met at the volunteer program. The man she once loved with her whole heart. Evelyn leaned forward, crying harder now. "He's not the same, Dina. He's full of guilt. He keeps saying your name. He regrets everything he did to you. He sits alone for hours, saying he ruined the only good thing in his life." Dina looked down at her hands. Her heart felt heavy, pulled in two different directions. Evelyn reached out and held Dina's wrist gently. "Please," she whispered, "visit him. You are the only person he ever truly loved. You're the only one who can calm him. I know he doesn't deserve it, but I'm begging you." Dina felt tears in her own eyes. She didn't know if they came from anger or sadness. Part of her wanted to say no, to walk away, to protect herself from more pain. Another part, the soft and human part, felt the old connection tug at her. She took a slow breath. She didn't give Evelyn an answer yet. She couldn't. Her heart was fighting a quiet war. Resentment on one side, empathy on the other. For the first time in a long time, Dina felt truly unsure of what to do next. Dina finally decided to visit Lucas, but she went with a steady heart. She did not go as a broken woman hoping for love. She did not go as someone trying to fix the past. She went as a stronger version of herself, someone who had rebuilt her life and reclaimed her power. When she entered the small, quiet hospital room, she almost didn't recognize him. Lucas looked thin, tired, and defeated. His eyes widened when he saw her, and in moments, they filled with tears. He tried to sit up, but his hands shook too much. "Dina," he whispered, his voice weak. "I'm so sorry." She stood by the door at first, watching him silently. There was no anger in her face, but there was no softness either. She had learned to protect her heart. Lucas covered his face with his hands and cried. Truly cried. "I ruined everything. I destroyed the only good thing I ever had. I don't deserve your forgiveness." Dina slowly walked closer and pulled a chair beside his bed. She sat down calmly. "You're right," she said gently. "You made terrible mistakes. You hurt me deeply. And I suffered because of you." Lucas cried harder, nodding. I know. I'm sorry. But," Dina continued softly, "I forgive you." He looked up, shocked. You do?" "Yes," she said. "Because forgiveness is for me. Not for you. I don't want to carry the pain anymore." For a moment, Lucas looked hopeful, as if he thought she might come back to him. But Dina leaned back and added firmly, "I'm not returning to you, Lucas. That part of my life is over." His face fell, but he didn't argue. He knew he had lost her long before this moment. "I think you need help," Dina said kindly. "Real help, therapy, support. And you need to rebuild your life from the beginning. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for yourself." Lucas nodded slowly. He looked like a man who finally understood the truth, even if it hurt. Dina stood up and picked up her purse. "Take accountability. Fix what you broke in your life. You can still change." He whispered a small, grateful thank you. Dina walked out of the hospital with a calm heart. For the first time in years, she felt completely free. In the weeks that followed, her own life began to shine even brighter. Her boss offered her a promotion because of her hard work and dedication. She moved into a new, cozy apartment in a nicer area. She bought new furniture, decorated her space, and smiled more often. Every morning, she woke up feeling stronger, lighter, and proud of herself. Dina had stepped into a new chapter. one filled with self-respect, peace, and a future she built with her own hands. Evelyn met Dina outside the hospital a few days later. She looked tired, but there was a softness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She reached out and held Dina's hands gently. "Thank you," Evelyn said with deep emotion. "You didn't have to come. You didn't have to care. But you did. You've given us hope again. Hope that our family can heal. You brought light back into a very dark place." Dina smiled kindly. "I only did what felt right." Evelyn shook her head. "No, Dina. You did more than that. You showed kindness when you had every reason to walk away forever. You reminded us what love and forgiveness look like." Her voice broke as she added, "I will always be grateful for you." Dina hugged her gently, then stepped back with a calm, warm expression. "I hope Lucas finds his way," she said softly. "And I hope you find peace too." Evelyn nodded, tears filling her eyes. "You deserve all the happiness in the world, Dina." Dina gave her a final smile, then turned and began walking down the quiet street. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft gold and orange. A gentle breeze brushed against her face as she took each step with confidence. For the first time in a long time, she felt completely at peace. As she walked into the warm glow of the sunset, Dina spoke softly in her heart, a truth she had finally learned through all her pain and healing. Sometimes, God removes people from your life not to hurt you, but to save you. The words felt like a blanket of comfort around her. She kept walking, her head high, her heart steady. This was her moment, her freedom, her strength, her new beginning. A quiet ending but powerful. Dina had grown. She had survived. And now she was finally living for herself. Hi besties. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.